If you are feeling dissatisfied with your life, listen to this story. Long ago, there was a crow living on a high tree branch. On the outside, it looked ordinary like any other crow, but deep inside, it carried a hidden sadness. With each passing day, the crow felt that its life was unfair and meaningless. One day, the crow sat quietly on the branch and began to cry. Its tears fell to the ground and accidentally landed on the cheek of a monk who was meditating beneath the tree. The monk looked up and saw the crow trembling in pain. With gentle eyes, he asked, "Why are you crying?" The crow replied through sobs that it hated its life. No one loved it. Humans always chased it away, despised it, and never gave it any food. Wherever it went, it was met only with scornful looks. It felt ugly, useless, and worthless in this world. To the crow, death seemed more bearable than continuing to live in loneliness and rejection. Hearing these words, the monk's heart filled with compassion. He gently advised the crow that all beings should learn to find joy in their own circumstances. But the crow's mind was clouded by dissatisfaction. It could not understand the monk's words and continued to sink deeper into sorrow. Seeing that the crow was still suffering, the monk softly said, "Every being in this world has its own value. Happiness does not come from outward appearance, but from how you see life." Yet the crow, with a heart full of bitterness, could not believe this. It shook its head and continued to weep, convinced that its fate was the worst of all. After a moment of reflection, the monk said, "If you truly do not wish to live as a crow anymore, tell me what you want to become. I can use my mantra to transform you into the bird you desire." Hearing this, the crow's eyes lit up for the first time after many dark days. Without hesitation, it said, "Oh, wise one, please turn me into a swan. Swans are pure white, graceful, and loved by all. Surely they are the happiest birds in the world." The monk smiled kindly, but did not agree immediately. He said, "I will help you, but first you must fly to a swan and ask whether it is truly happy with its life. After you have your answer, return here. I will wait for you." The crow was overjoyed, believing it was finally close to its dream life. Spreading its wings, the crow flew off in search of a swan. Before long, it saw a swan gliding quietly across a peaceful lake. The swan's pure white feathers reflected the sunlight, making it look noble and perfect. The crow thought to itself, "This is the happiness I have always longed for." The crow approached and said with admiration, "O swan, you are as white as snow and everyone loves you. Surely you are the happiest bird in the world." But contrary to the crow's expectations, the swan sighed softly and replied, "No, I am not happy. The world is full of beautiful colors, yet I have only one, white. I always feel lacking. In my opinion, the parrot with its many colors must be the happiest bird." Hearing this answer, the crow was stunned. For the first time, it realized that even what it admired most might not bring true happiness. After leaving the lake, the crow felt deeply conflicted. It could not believe that a swan so graceful and admired could be unhappy. Yet remembering the swan's words, the crow continued its journey in search of true happiness. It flew off to find the bird that had been mentioned, the colorful parrot. Soon, the crow found a parrot perched on a branch. The parrot's feathers shone with vibrant shades of green, red, and yellow, standing out against the sky. The crow looked at it in awe and said, "You are so beautiful and colorful. Surely you are the happiest bird in the world." But the parrot did not smile. It shook its head sadly and said its life was filled with fear. Humans loved its beauty, so they often trapped parrots in cages. Day after day, it lived in constant anxiety, afraid of being captured and losing its freedom. In a low voice, the parrot said, "In my opinion, the peacock, the most magnificent of all birds, is the happiest." Hearing this, the crow continued flying. This time, it found a peacock in a zoo. Hundreds of people gathered to admire its beauty. After the crowd left, the crow approached and said with admiration, "You are truly magnificent. Everyone comes to see you. I think you are the happiest bird in the world." The peacock remained silent for a moment, then replied in a weary voice. It said that its beauty was the reason it was imprisoned. Every day, it lived behind bars, deprived of freedom, and even suffered when people plucked its colorful feathers to make decorations. Finally, the peacock sighed and said, "I have observed carefully. Among all birds, only you, the crow, are not caged or hunted for your beauty. If I were a crow, I could fly anywhere I wished." Hearing this, the crow stood still. For the first time, it began to look at itself differently. Hearing the peacock's sincere words, the crow stood quietly for a long time. Its thoughts began to change. Throughout its journey, it had believed that happiness meant becoming another bird, more beautiful, more loved, more admired. But now, for the first time, the crow realized a simple yet profound truth. Every being carries its own suffering, no matter how perfect it appears on the outside. The crow looked at its black wings, which it had once despised. Now it realized that those wings gave it freedom. No cage confined it. No one hunted it for its beauty. No one tried to possess it. It could fly wherever it wished, find food in its own way, and live a free life, something the beautiful birds always longed for. With this awakening, the crow returned to the tree where the monk was waiting. This time, its movements were lighter, and its eyes were different. The crow bowed and said, "O wise one, I no longer wish to become anything else. I now understand that being a crow has its own value. I am content with who I am." The monk smiled gently. He said nothing more, for he knew the crow had found the answer on its own. Happiness does not come from comparing oneself to others, nor from possessing what others have. Happiness comes from contentment, from appreciating what we already have, and from understanding our own worth. In life, humans are much like that crow long ago. We often look at other people's success, wealth, or lives and feel dissatisfied with our own. But comparison only creates an endless cycle of unhappiness. There will always be someone who has more and someone who has less. The truly happy person is not the one who has the most, but the one who knows enough. When we stop comparing and begin appreciating our own lives, that is when we find true peace and happiness.